Hey everybody, my name is Matt Christofferson. I'm one of the sales engineers over here at Sweetwater. And today I brought my friend Mike over here from Polyend, who's the product expert here on a brand new product that I actually am really excited for. Mike, what do you got for us, man?
Today we have the Polyend Play. So Polyend Play is a standalone Groovebox with 8 tracks of audio sequencing and an additional 8 polyphonic tracks of MIDI sequencing. So it's a standalone Groovebox. Load your files on an SD card, MIDI in and out, stereo out, and it's powered over USB-C. The main thing to focus on would be all of these flashing buttons, which look really great. Each track here can be any number of steps from 1 to 64. It can be tempo divided from 1/16 to 1/8 or to 8 times as fast. You have 35 different playback modes. You have all sorts of ways to mangle all of your samples and some really cool randomization tricks as well.
Excellent. So I've noticed that there are like 2 different sections, obviously, to the board itself. So you have this section, then you have the green section. Can you tell us and dissect that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have 128 pads here for sequencing. And then on the side here, you have 32 buttons for muting, soloing, selecting, and choosing different variations of your tracks. And you have this for audio, which is green, and for MIDI, which is purple.
Okay. So if I wanted to mute or solo a track, would I just hit one of these buttons over here to?
Yeah, so if let's maybe jump into a pattern over here. Okay, so now that we're in a new pattern, I've got all of these muted so you won't hear anything. I can solo all of these independently and you can hear different things at the same time. So for example, let's unmute the drums here. And now we can actually let's start soloing some of the tracks that I have down here. And now we'll bring it all back together. So this is actually kind of a cool generative pattern. And what it does is it takes piano and string sounds and it uses some of the cool repeat types that are available in the Play. So if I dive in here and I look at some of these repeat types, this one here is just a piano sample, and it's creating an arpeggio down, and it's basically saying play 16 hits over 8 steps. And I've just taken that same thing and I have duplicated it in places, made it faster or slower on some tracks, also using some randomization features that pull samples that are in the same folder here in the project and kind of mixing them up. So it's a cool way to just get some really cool variations. A pattern like this won't repeat for a really long time because each track is basically out of time. So it's cool for things like polyrhythms and stuff like that. You could do it with drums. You could make a ton of really cool variations on what you're doing here. All right, so let's just start from a blank pattern and we can see what we can make from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Awesome. So let's go into a blank pattern, and what we can do is actually select the first 3 tracks here, and we're going to use something called the fill function. And what fill does, you have a ton of different types. You can fill it randomly by a percentage. You can do Euclidean filling, which will tell you how many events you have or want in this pattern over a certain selected number of steps, or you can do something called beat. And what beat will do is actually pull from samples in your project that are in a folder named kick, snare, and hi-hat. And it will populate those on the tracks that you select. So if you have 3 tracks selected, it will populate all 3 of those. So let's fill these and let's see how that sounds. So that's pretty straightforward drum and bass loop. If I hit fill again, it will randomly pull new samples from it. So say I didn't like that, I can do something different. So let's refill it. Okay, so I like that. I think that sounds good.
So I can load any of my own samples in there as well.
Absolutely, yes. So the only menu diving that you'll ever do on this unit is when you are just loading sample kits or adjusting like MIDI settings and all that kind of stuff. That's really, everything else is kind of what you see is what you get. So you won't do a lot of menu diving, but as soon as you have your samples in here, it will just fill with whatever samples you want. So for people that have a lot of samples already or don't know what to do with their samples or just maybe looking for something different to do with their massive sample library, this would be something perfect for them.
Does it have internal memory or is it all just on like an SD card?
So you get 5 minutes of sampling time from a micro SD card.
Okay.
And the reason that there's a limit is because it's not just simply playing it back. You actually have all of these ways to manipulate your samples. So right here in the sample button, you can choose your sample and you can choose the folder that you want to access, actually. You can also do stuff like add reverb and delay, overdrive and bit depth to your samples. You can change the start and end time of your sample, and if the end time is before the start time, it will reverse the sample. You can also choose the attack and decay for fade in and fade out and stuff like that. There's a lot of really cool ways to manipulate your samples just beyond putting stuff in here by yourself.
Okay.
I guess I should mention too that it's really easy just to pick and place whatever you want right on here. So like these kicks, say I really didn't like where this kick was, I can hold down and it'll copy it when it turns purple. I can put it right there, and now that kick will exist here instead of here. So all you're really doing is you're navigating to what sample you want, and then you're putting it where you want, and then from there you can do a ton of different stuff. It's really intuitive to use. It kind of just works exactly how you think it would work.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So let's dive into the randomize features a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this pattern right here, or this kick pattern, and we're just going to use this as a template to randomize and make something new. So I'll select all of these and we'll copy and we'll paste it here on the next 3 tracks. Now these are just doubled up, right? It's really responsive here as well. So let's select these 3. We'll go to randomize. You have a bunch of different randomize types. Right now you have 10 different randomization types. So sample within the folder that you are currently in, so like kick, snare, hi-hat, synth, bass, guitar, whatever it is. Sample and pool, which will take everything that's in the project, all those folders it'll draw from. Then you can do same thing with like sample length, the texture, and you can also do octaves, which will, within a scale, you can actually add notes or randomize a melody if it's playing. I'm gonna focus right now on sample and pool. So I'm gonna play this and I'm going to randomize the amount that these steps are sampled. Perfect.
I like that.
And if you ever get a sample that's really long like that just starts ringing out because some of these samples are longer, if you just tap the master volume, you'll cut it right away.
Okay.
So actually cool that came up. So now that's something that you wouldn't have expected to get. It's just taking from the entire pool of what you have in your sample folders. But now let's maybe do something and we can just create like an alternate version of this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go actually back to the patterns, and these are all the patterns that I have in here. I'm going to copy and paste this entire thing right up here, and we'll copy and paste it again right next to it. So these 2 are the ones that we're working on. This is the original. This is the one that we are going to mess around with. So let's go back into patterns, and we'll have this entire thing, and let's just apply some randomization and make like a little variation on what we were doing.
Yeah.
So let's hit play and then we'll start messing around. All right, we'll save that randomization. Now let's go back to patterns and let's duplicate that. And now we have a third one. We'll just do one more here and we'll just go kind of like crazy with it. So there are 2 random features in here called Nuke and Duke Nuke. And what they do is they just really kind of make everything go a little bit crazy. It adds like bit depth, overdrive, distortion, and Nuke will sample it within the folder, and Duke Nuke will sample it within the pool, just kind of destroy it if you want. So I think that they'll be putting out the recipes for exactly what they do, but it's kind of more fun just trying to guess what it's doing.
Okay.
So let's try that. We'll hear it before, and then we'll randomize with those. So I like that. Now, what's cool is that now I've got these, these three patterns, and they're variations of the same thing, and I didn't really have to do too much work. It's just using the features on the unit to give it a little extra something. It's really great for just like generating new ideas and using your samples in a different way. I think it's great. So say I have all three of these here. Now if I hit Shift and play, I can play the song, and once one pattern's done, it'll jump to the next. Exactly. So if they're lined up, kind of like in a snake, it will just go right across. And if I have one like here and here, it'll just snake its way across from left to right and then down.
Okay. So
let's just hear what that sounds like. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that we can do now from there is we can enter into performance mode. And performance mode is something that I can manipulate all of what I did there within that song, and then I can take it to a new level and just, screw it up even more.
Yeah, so you showed us some really great features, and I think the really cool thing about this is that I can use it for the studio, but I can also see like a way that I can use it for like a live performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you have your projects loaded and you have some of these, songs going, you can further manipulate them with something called performance mode. So I'll wait to play the song, but if I hit this button right here that says perform, it will bring you into this performance mode, which is full of different things like delay, reverb, tuning. There's a looper, beat repeat, stuff like that will further kind of just mangle what you already have. The other important thing is that, what you do here won't affect that pattern and change it. It won't be like a destructive change. Okay. So you can always go back to what you were playing before. So let's play that song that we just made again. So you can do a lot of really, really cool stuff with it, and you can select which portions of those patterns that you want to actually manipulate.
That's great. So I know there's like probably a ton of different products out there right now that might do something similar. What do you think that somebody would benefit out of having the Polyend play over some of the other ones on the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thing that stands out to me about the Polyend play is that it's intuitive. There's a lot of features, but there's no huge learning curve to it. It's kind of like a deck of cards, like fairly straightforward layout. You can use it to play Go Fish, or you can play poker or sheep's head or something more advanced if you want. So there's a ton for the beginners and the novices, and there's a lot of really advanced features, especially in the MIDI portion, that I think a lot of people will benefit from.
Now, the Polyend play, in your mind, is it inventing something new in the market, or is it reinventing something?
I think it's inventing something new, and I think it's drawing on a lot of what Polyend has made before. They had a product called Polyend Sec that was a big MIDI sequencer. They had the Polyentracker, and this is kind of a sibling to that. This is a little bit more performance-oriented. They use some of the tricks that they came up with in Tracker, and they've kind of perfected a few more of these algorithms to really make it fun and, most of all, just to inspire you to make music quickly and finish those songs that you've been working on.
Well, you mentioned the tracker and also the sequencer. How do you think this kind of lines up in the product line for Polyend?
So currently the only thing that's available from Polyend is the Polyentracker. The sequencer was discontinued a while back with COVID and everything. So I think that this is a good companion piece to Polyentracker. There's two Grooveboxes that do very different things, and they're both at pretty good price points. They're punching well above their weight in terms of that.
So what kind of Sweetwater customer do you think that would benefit from something like this?
So I think it would be great for all types. It's for people that want something portable that they can play on their couch and take to a park and make music. It's also for someone that wants an extremely powerful sequencer at the heart of their studio, MIDI-wise. You could control up to, I guess, 32 synthesizers with this thing at one time, all sequenced independently per step. So there's a lot in there for the novice and intermediate, but I think that advanced users will find a lot of really cool tricks in the play that they won't find for anywhere near this price.
Yeah, I mean, just going over a couple easy things here. You mentioned it was very intuitive. So I think, even just like an early beginner can get into something like this with the randomizer that you had mentioned. And then if you really want to get in depth, like the really nerdy people can start getting really in depth about this.
100%. Yeah, there are plenty of things in here that you can really meticulously get in here and program each step to do a very certain thing, or you can do 4 on the floor house music and go with it.
Yeah.
Or even someone, a guitar player that's looking for backing track or wants something like that.
That's true.
That'd be great too.
So I'm really excited that you brought this in, and I want to show everybody watching this video too how easy it is to use the MIDI function. So I was hoping that you might be able to just take a quick second, just build a song just from scratch and see how easy it is to make something.
Yeah, definitely. So let's try like just a house beat, and what I'm going to do is I'll put in a beat, I'll switch to the MIDI mode, I'll enter in some chords, and then I'll move those notes around to make just a bass line.
Great. Mike, thanks for coming in, man. I was really excited for this.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. We got the next banger hitting your radio station soon. We got the crew fist pumping over here. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and call your sales engineer if you have any further questions.